The Pacific night was supposed to protect Japanese pilots. Darkness was their shield, their escape, their last place to hide. But in 1944, a new shadow started crawling across the sky. The P-61 Black Widow, and it ruined that safety overnight. This plane didn't need moonlight or luck. It carried its own eyes. Its radar locked onto you long before you even knew something was out there. And when the Widow found you, it didn't miss. In this video, we will go through why Japanese pilots feared the P-61 more than any other night fighter they faced, the radar that hunted them, the firepower that ended them, and the real stories from Saipan, the Philippines, and Okinawa that built the Widow's terrifying reputation. The Northrop P-61 Black Widow was no ordinary fighter. It was the first U.S. aircraft built from the ground up for night combat. While most planes of World War II relied on daylight to spot enemies, the Black Widow had radar built into its design, allowing it to hunt in total darkness. Its first flight was on May 26, 1942, and by October 1943, the first production models rolled out. In total, 706 were made, each a blend of raw power and technology for its time. Visually, the P-61 was a twin-engine, twin-boom aircraft with an all-metal frame that seemed both elegant and scary. Its armament was equally impressive, featuring four 20mm cannons in the lower fuselage and 4.50 caliber machine guns in a dorsal turret. Pilots could strike with deadly precision, and the plane's nickname, inspired by the Black Widow spider, wasn't just for show. The Black Widow proved itself across every theater of the war: Europe, the Pacific, the China-Burma-India region, and the Mediterranean. It replaced older night fighters and gave U.S. forces a real edge against enemy aircraft when the sun went down. One of its final moments of glory came on August 14, 1945, when a P-61B named Lady in the Dark scored the last Allied aerial victory before Japan's surrender. After the war, the P-61 was redesignated the F-61 and served as a long-range, all-weather interceptor, staying in service until 1950 with the 5th Air Force and officially retiring in 1954. Its design also evolved into the F-15 Reporter, a photo reconnaissance aircraft, showing just how versatile the platform could be. In October 1940, Vladimir Pavleka, chief of research at Northrop Aircraft Corporation, was summoned to a top-secret meeting at Wright Field in Ohio. The U.S. Army Air Corps ordered him to memorize specifications for a night interceptor pursuit airplane, a fighter that could find and attack enemy aircraft in complete darkness. No notes were permitted. Northrop was barely a year old and known mostly for subcontract work, yet it received the mission to create the first aircraft designed entirely for night combat. Larger companies such as Lockheed and Grumman were overloaded, and Britain, battered by nightly bombing during the Blitz, had already approached Northrop for a night fighter of its own. Their requirements were exact. The aircraft needed a high ceiling, long patrol time, and enough firepower to destroy enemy bombers before they reached their targets. The critical element was an unfamiliar device that could locate aircraft in darkness. It was the newly developed microwave radar. The American military had almost no real experience with night fighting, and darkness still belonged to the attacker. Pavleka flew back to Los Angeles and met with Jack Northrop, the company's founder. Northrop combined the British and American needs and committed to an aggressive schedule: 1 experimental XP-61 in 9 months and 12 service-ready aircraft in 16 months. The design featured a 66-foot wingspan, powerful twin engines, twin tail booms, and a 3-person crew. Fully loaded, the P-61 weighed more than 29,000 pounds, far heavier than the British Mosquito. The size bothered some pilots at first, but it reflected the aircraft's entirely new purpose. A nose-mounted radar sent a narrow beam through the dark, guiding the crew to within 100 yards of enemy aircraft. This single innovation reshaped the entire concept of night fighting. Development faced repeated delays, but Northrop's engineers pushed forward, adding spoilerons for more control and flame suppressors to hide the exhaust. On May 26, 1942, the first XP-61 flew. It carried no radar yet, but it already proved more agile than many fighters of its era. The P-61 was not a conventional aircraft. It was the first true predator of the night sky. While Northrop fought deadlines in California, the Army Air Corps faced its own challenge, preparing pilots to use technology no American fighter crew had ever relied on. Night flying required specialists, so volunteers were drawn from experienced aviators. Many had over 100 hours in twin-engine B-25s, strong night vision, and solid instrument skills. Radar operators, called aerial observers, were recruited under secrecy to safeguard the new equipment. Training forced crews to relearn fundamentals such as navigating in complete darkness, performing altitude changes without visual cues, and landing blind. Before the P-61 existed in serviceable form, crews used P-70s, converted A-20 Havocs, fitted with radar. In March 1943, 4 U.S. night fighter squadrons arrived in England, only to learn the P-61 was still unavailable. They received British Bristol Beaufighters instead. Capable but idiosyncratic, they demanded new habits: spotless cockpit glass, strict light discipline, controlled muzzle flash, and oxygen use even at low altitude to protect night vision. Despite worn engines and aging airframes, the Beaufighters were vital. In the Mediterranean, U.S. crews flew nearly 5,000 sorties and downed 32 aircraft, mostly Ju-88 bombers. Every mission required radar interception, silent pursuit, and teamwork between the pilot and radar operator. These lessons became the foundation of true all-weather night combat. Meanwhile, Northrop continued improving the P-61. Its engines reached 2,250 horsepower, its ceiling climbed to 33,000 feet, and the twin-tail layout improved stability. Armament included 420mm cannons and 4.50 caliber guns, and radar became the centerpiece of the design. By November 1943, training P-61s were ready. Initial doubts about the aircraft's size faded once pilots saw it loop, stall, and turn with ease. The P-61 was finally prepared for combat over the Pacific and Europe. The P-61 entered combat in 1944, and its impact was immediate. In the Pacific, the 6th Night Fighter Squadron deployed to Saipan to shield B-29 bombers, preparing for strikes on Japan. On one early patrol, the P-61 named Moon Happy intercepted a Japanese G-4M Betty bomber with a Zero escort. Radar allowed pilot Dale Haberman and operator Ray Mooney to track both targets in silence. Using the aircraft's spoilerons, Haberman slipped behind the bomber until Mooney confirmed a firing position at 700 feet. The Betty exploded, and the Zero disappeared into the dark. The mission revealed how the P-61 turned night into an advantage. In Europe, the 422nd Squadron arrived in early 1944. Their first success came when Hermann Ernst shot down a German V-1 over the English Channel. Visual confirmation still mattered, since radar only guided pilots into range. Crews learned to identify silhouettes and exhaust signatures before firing. P-61 units refined a structured intercept method. Ground radar detected intruders up to 150 miles away, providing the first vector. Onboard radar then guided the Widow into the final attack position. The teamwork between pilot, radar operator, and ground control became the basis for future all-weather interception. In the Mediterranean, American crews gradually traded Beaufighters for P-61s. While some British units preferred the Mosquito, American pilots quickly valued the Widow. On the night of December 29th to 30th in 1944, Carroll Smith of the 418th Squadron destroyed 4 Japanese aircraft in 2 missions. The P-61's microwave radar defeated enemy attempts to jam long-wave equipment, and Japanese bombers could not climb beyond its reach. the aircraft was reshaping the entire concept of night combat through technology and disciplined execution. The P-61 Black Widow built its reputation in the Pacific, dominating the skies over the Philippines, Okinawa, and Saipan. Unlike Europe, these theaters presented new challenges. Japanese forces relied on medium and light bombers such as the Mitsubishi G4M, often with agile escorts. They used formation attacks, single high-altitude raids, and unpredictable night approaches, but the P-61 turned each tactic against them. Radar, firepower, and near invisibility made it a threat Japanese crews had never faced. Over Saipan, radar proved decisive. Japanese bombers depended on darkness to slip past defenses, yet the P-61's glossy black surface blended into the night so well that it was rarely seen until it was too late. Its microwave radar tracked targets long before visual contact, allowing pilots to close in without revealing their position. Many interceptions ended before Japanese crews understood they were under attack. A shock that helped build the P-61's fearsome legend. In the Philippines, altitude was key. Japanese bombers, once safe from older night fighters, were now within reach. The P-61's turbocharged engines let it climb rapidly, while radar operators guided pilots straight to incoming threats. Enemy crews often spotted the Black Widow only at the final moment, creating a growing fear of an unseen hunter above them. During the Okinawa campaign, the P-61 showed even greater versatility. It guarded airfields, pursued incoming aircraft, and carried out night intruder missions against enemy positions and convoys. These strikes disrupted raids, forced bombers to abandon attacks, and battered supply routes. Japanese forces were compelled to alter tactics, spread out formations, and sometimes abort missions entirely. Across these operations, the P-61 became a silent and deadly presence. It erased the once reliable safety of night, turning darkness into an American advantage. By the end of the Pacific War, the Black Widow was regarded as one of the most effective and intimidating night fighters ever fielded, a predator that reshaped Japanese strategy and secured its place in aviation history. How the Black Widow changed warfare. As the war shifted against Germany, the P-61 Black Widow went from defense to offense, carrying the fight into enemy territory. Darkness no longer protected trains, convoys, or retreating units. P-61 crews struck at night with precision, cutting supply lines and scattering forces. On April 11, 1945, P-61 intruders destroyed 14 Luftwaffe aircraft in one night, one of the most successful night operations of the war. During the Battle of the Bulge, when storms grounded most fighters, only radar-equipped Black Widows could fly, giving vital support to ground troops. These missions demonstrated the value of the all-weather fighter, a concept that would guide future aviation. Despite its success, the P-61 quickly faded from memory after the war. Of the 706 built, most were scrapped overseas, and only 4 survive. One is being restored at the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum, where teams hope it will return to the air. Night operations proved safer than daylight sorties. Only 4 P-61s were lost in the entire conflict, and none to enemy gunfire, showing how effective this aircraft had become. Though it entered the war late, the P-61 shaped new tactics and gave air crews confidence in night combat. The final kill came on August 14, 1945, when the Pacific-based Lady in the Dark chased a Nakajima Ki-43 to sea level and destroyed it only hours before Japan surrendered. Its radar-guided targeting, teamwork between pilot and operator, and its purpose-built design for night combat left a permanent legacy. Veterans remembered the P-61 not just as a machine, but as a dependable partner in a realm where darkness became a battlefield ruled by skill and technology. If you think the night is safe, think again. And that is exactly what the Black Widow proved. Like, share, and subscribe to see more stories where the darkness met its match.